I'm George.
I'm Devin, and this is the 26th appointment with Meta Cinema, your healthy dose of film.
Today, we will discuss the films of Adam Elliott, the Australian stop motion director, with his features Mary and Max from 2009 and his new Oscar nominated Memoir of a Snail. I was also able to get another interview for this one, and it was honestly a blast. I talked to John Lewis, who was already animator on Mary and Max, and animator, animation supervisor, and head of puppet fabrication on Memoir of a Snail. You can check out the bonus episode on our channel. But first, Devin, tell us about a recent film discovery you have made.
So, recently I watched Crazy House. It stars Nick Frost, Kevin Connolly, and Christina Applegate as a family living in a cheesy 90s sitcom. When Russian workers suddenly appear to help with some home renovations, things get violent, weird, and Jesus even shows up. While I didn't find this movie particularly innovative, it does ride that new wave of bizarro fiction that has some kind of mix of greener grass and WandaVision. The gore was fun, and it got a cackle out of me more than a few times, and after all, that's all I could really ask for. Honestly, I'll always take this new strange cinema whenever it comes out. Have you ever seen anything that's like a fake TV show? Like WandaVision is a really great example of that, honestly. I can't really think of any others off the top of my head that really play like that.
I haven't seen WandaVision. There is like a special episode in, I think it was like the third season of Mr. Robot, that is very much what I imagine WandaVision is, because it's like based on an 80s sitcom style and puts all like the characters all of the sudden into like this situation.
Yeah.
So that's, I guess, the closest. I really like Mr. Robot, so that episode
I'm
was also
not watched that yet. Not watched that yet. What have you been watching this week, or what did you see recently?
Yeah, so I recently watched The World of Tomorrow. It's an animated series by American indie animator Don Hertzfeldt. He also created my favorite film of all time, It's Such a Beautiful Day, which also was released as a three-part, 3 shorts. The series consists of 3 parts ranging from 17 to 34 minutes, and combined work great as like one feature-length movie, basically. It's a sci-fi story about preserving your soul in backup clones, and it's just incredible. I obviously am biased and just a real sucker for the writing style of Don. He manages to, at the same time, be charmingly wholesome whilst also crushing you with existential dread. I love the art style. It has the super minimal trademark Hertzfeld stick figures, but gets super creative at times, wildly detailed with the backgrounds, which is just an interesting approach you never really see. It's very funny, deeply sad, has dumb one-liners and extremely thought-provoking lines in there. I just loved it. I think you've seen this before, right?
Very good. Oh yeah, very, very much like that movie. I've been watching Don Hertzfeldt way too young since he would premiere his movies at these things called Spike and Mike's Twisted Festival of Animation. And it was this traveling animated festival that used to go between colleges in the United States. A lot of animators, big animators, got their start through that. Don Hertzfeldt, Kennedy Tartakovsky did some stuff through that. I probably butchered his name. Butch Hartman, the guy who does Courage the Cowardly Dog, I forget his name. Dilworth, John R. Dilworth, I think. Yeah, John R. Dilworth. A lot of animators got their start through that. Then it was always really, really fucked up animations. So, like, I think his first one that Don Hertzfeldt, released through that was Billy's Balloon.
Oh, yeah.
Very classic. And then, of course, The Rejected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Don Hertzfeldt, very unique voice with its humor and how it intermingles with these super fucked up ideas and concepts.
Never, I think, recovered from the Pop-Tart fiasco. Your silence tells me you don't know the Pop-Tart fiasco.
No, I don't think I know that story.
Okay. Every American listener right now already knows what I'm talking about. If they knew who Don Hertzfeldt is, and I mentioned Pop-Tarts, they know what I'm talking about.
I mean, I know what Pop-Tarts are through American media. We don't have them, but I know what they are.
Yes. So, Pop-Tarts released these series of commercials right after The Rejected come out, like mid 2010s or whatever.
Mhm.
and the art style and humor of the commercials is identical
Oh.
to Don Hertzfeldt's style. It's literally the same exact thing. It's considered like a stolen thing, like literally like they just took it from him, and it's
Mm.
very much like it looks like him. I think honestly, most people who know who Don Hertzfeldt are and have seen those commercials just assume he did them
Mm.
because they're so similar, and I don't think he ever really moved past that. It was like God, at least 10 years before he made something after that, right? World of Tomorrow is 2018, is that you said?
I think 2017 was the first one, or 15 even.
Oh, that's not too bad, but still big time
And
jump.
and no, like he made like all of It's Such a Beautiful Day, the 3 parts released before that. Like the final version released in 2012, the feature length completed series basically, and like I think 4 years and 8 years before that. So like in 2004 or something should be the first of that series.
Interesting. I forgot about It's a Beautiful Day.
You forgot about my favorite movie.
I know. I forgot about that one. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It is a really good one. I do like that one a lot too. Which is more than you can say. Which is more than you can say about my favorite movie.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
At least I don't venomously hate your favorite movie.
Fair enough.
Oh, it's so funny. So funny.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Me and the Guyver don't have the best relationship.
No, not at all. And that's okay, because it's a weird film. Speaking of strange movies and interesting movies and movies we love, we got some pretty amazing movies this week.
Mm-hmm. Starting off with Mary and Max.
Warning. The following program contains spoilers. Viewers' discretion is advised.
Mary and Max follows the titular character Mary, a girl growing up in a small town in Australia. One day she decides to write to a random man in New York and finds a pen pal in Max, an adult man living in a tiny apartment with undiagnosed Asperger's syndrome. We watch Mary grow older and go study. She publishes a book about Asperger's with a heavy focus on Max as a subject without his consent, which leads to their relationship breaking up and problems escalating from there. Now, you've seen this movie numerous times, I'm guessing, right?
I've seen it like twice before, honestly. Like you would think that this is very much up my alley. I love stop motion. I love generally animation movies that aren't particularly targeted for kids and do something weirder or unique. And all of that is true for Mary and Max. It just never fully hit me. Like I like it a lot. It's a great movie, but it's not up there for like the big classics for me as it is for many people.
Very interesting. I'm surprised a little bit, actually.
What's your general relationship to this movie?
I saw it last year. I think probably when you recommended it. I feel like you recommended this during Animation Week or something. But I saw it last year or so for the first time, and I did really like it. I liked it a lot. By the time it came to rewatch it, I had completely forgotten everything that happened in it. I was like, "Oh yeah, whatever. This is a good movie. I remember, but it just didn't leave any lasting impression on me or whatever." I now remember why I ejected it from my mind because it's a sad ass movie. It makes me sad.
Hmm.
But it is a beautiful film. I really do like this movie. I like a lot of things about this movie. Don't know if I exactly agree that it isn't aimed at kids. I think in a lot of ways this movie is not only aimed at children, but it's really aimed at adults who used to be children. And I know that just means everybody. But like it's very specifically about looking retrospectively into your own past as a child. And it does that really well for anybody who's been outcast. And I think it is good for kids. I watched it with my 10-year-old, and she absolutely adored it and just wants to see everything else the guy's made.
Yeah. In my mind, it's not like, how do I put it? Like certain movies work for kids. Like, even if you look beyond animation, they can still be watched by kids, but I don't think that's like, okay, he specifically wanted to make a kids movie or anything, you know?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I feel about this one. I wanted to briefly talk about, since we're so specific on Adam Elliott with this episode, I wanted to talk about his like upbringing.
Yeah, it's interesting for sure. I'd like to hear that.
It is a big part of his filmmaking. He calls the movies he makes clayographies, which is just a word he invented from like clay motion and biographies. And he claims that there's a lot of his life in all of his films.
I like clay motion, by the way. That was good. You mean claymation?
Oh yeah, that was
like I liked clay motion. That's so funny.
And that was my point. He claims a lot of his life is in these films.
Yeah, I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
This is specifically too based on a true story, and when you look into it, it's just based on his life. This literally, he's Mary, and that he wrote to a 20-year-old man. He ages the character Max up, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
This is based basically on things he really went through writing to an adult man growing up.
He was raised in the Australian outback by his parents on their prawn farm. His dad was a former acrobatic clown, which will come up later. His mother was a hairdresser. He went to art school in Victoria. He finished his postgraduate diploma in film and television with an animation specialization and released his first stop motion short there as his like final student film in 1996 called Uncle. This basically started his life goal or his life project called the Trilogy of Trilogies, where he wanted to make 3 very short films ranging from like 4 to 8 minutes. These are Uncle, Cousin, and Brother. Then 3 longer short films around the 20-minute mark with Harvey Crumpet, Ernie Biscuit, and 1 yet to release. And finally, 3 feature films with Mary and Max and Memoir of a Snail being released so far. And yeah, they are all little glimpses into his life, reshaped to a certain degree, I'm very sure, because there's definitely like not everything here can be from his life, and also everything in Memoir of a Snail, for example. But yeah, a lot of Adam Elliott in these films.
Yeah, they're beautiful takes on your own existence, and you know, taking that pain and making it art, turning it into your own thing. This one, I'm surprised. I'm surprised this one doesn't hit you harder. It's interesting to see like the Max character. I wonder how much of him is really things Adam Elliott went through, or like just things they took, or you know, artistic liberties or whatever the character. But he's such an interesting character, Max. Like in general, we don't use the term Asperger's anymore. At the time the movie takes place, that's what he was diagnosed with. It was, you know, we now you know, Asperger's is part of the autism spectrum as a whole. It is a really interesting portrait of autism, though. Like, I think maybe probably some parts of it are, you know, over exaggerated for that character. Maybe they're not. It's really easy to digest for a younger person or for an uninformed person.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
It doesn't ever like blunt it or make fun of it, and I really appreciated that about this movie.
Yeah, in the contrary, it like makes a big point out of it not being something to be healed, but something that Max truly embraces, which is like a beautiful theme that spans throughout the movie, you know, accepting your own flaws, or not even seeing them as flaws, but as part of you, and just something to appreciate. Like that's great. But also, this time I tried to figure out why it doesn't fully hit for me, this one, particularly compared to Memoir of a Snail. I rewatched Memoir first and then Mary and Max. So it was interesting of like Memoir, the newer one, was fresher in my mind. I think both that the art style just feels way more refined in the newer one, not even as in it's more polished or anything like that. It's really a nuanced thing of the colors, where in the brown, soft tones of Memoir of a Snail compared to the brown soft tones of Australia here in Mary's side of the story, I feel like they got better with how to balance that, how to light it, how to color correct it. I'm not exactly sure. It feels warmer, and I enjoy the style more, I guess, even though it's really nuances that differ it. But also from a storytelling perspective, I think Adam Elliott just became a better writer since Mary and Max. I think the way the screenplay is structured and when certain things get established just feels better to me in Memoir of a Snail. And the example I mainly wanted to bring up with that is the diagnosis of Max, because that's the first time he brings up this idea of it's something not to be cured. And that's 60 minutes into this film, 2/3 in, pretty much exactly. But it is kind of the main conflict. Like, that's the beginning of where it develops with Mary going to study and then trying to find a cure for Max, for her friend, which is the main, conflict between these characters here. And we only start to establish that by the 60-minute mark. I think he is so remarkable with just writing great one-liners and great observations about the general human experience that you kind of miss that for the most part. To me, Mary and Max kind of hides the somewhat weak structure behind great moment after great moment, whilst Memoir of a Snail also has those great moments, but has a completely refined structure as well. That's the best way I can put it.
I would agree that I think that Memoir of a Snail is a better, if they're both cakes, Memoir of a Snail is a better made cake. It's cleaner. The frosting is designed much prettier. It's a consistent color. It's a consistent, texture and all that, right? For me, Memoir of a Snail is a chocolate cake, while Mary and Max is, a key lime pie flavored or something, and I like key lime pie more. That's all. It's just I like the flavor more. I like, the things happening in Mary and Max more than I like the things happening in Snail. But you're not wrong. I do think that Snail is a better designed movie. A side question in your interview, I don't know if you asked or not, if you know, was Mary and Max filmed in black and white, or was it done in black and white post?
The clay was black and white and the sets were.
That sounds like such a bitch, man. That sounds like such a bitch.
Yeah, probably. All the props and the locations and just the figurines were in black and white, because you can even see it with like his tongue being red.
Mm-hmm.
Like
red.
There's
red.
like individual elements, and like imagine because there's this red fuzzy ball that he sometimes puts on his
the pom-pom.
Pom-pom. Yeah, exactly. The red pom-pom that he sometimes wears. Doing that in post would be such a pain to just like digitally color that in, or digitally remove all the saturation of everything else, because you would need such a weird, oddly shaped custom mask for that pom-pom, and colors would bleed through and all. Yeah, that would be horrible.
That's very valid. That's very, very valid. It just makes me think of the degree of grayscale knowledge you need to pull that off in clay is very impressive, because
oh, for sure.
And it just makes me think of when they used to film things in black and white, they had people whose entire job it was to make sure the sets reacted correctly in black and white.
Mm-hmm.
They would, give a cowboy a bright pink flannel shirt, because that came up the right color that would, not clash with his jeans and not clash with the horse or whatever, right? And that's such a lost art to be able to do that, to look at color and be like, this is how it's going to translate into black and white properly. So it makes sense to not even try to fuck with that and just do it in like
Yeah,
just
do it for
start in
real.
black and white clay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's such a lost art.
Hmm.
I feel like we lose that on a lot of black and white films. It's the reason why they never look correct. I did watch this with my kid. She thought it was fantastic. It's a weird movie to like engage with your kid with a little bit.
I think the humor is maybe even stronger in this one. Like I'll give Mary and Max that. It's such a dry humor in its delivery. Like the moment when Max tells Mary in the first letter about the lottery numbers that he always chooses, and the way they deliver that of him mentioning the number, and instantaneously after that you see the TV and how it's a completely different number and how each and every number misses. Like that's great comedic timing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, lines like after he got investigated by, I don't know, the FBI or something, and he's basically finished with the story, and then just in an offhand comment mentions, "Fortunately, I forgot to tell them that I was once a communist."
I love that.
It's such a good line. Like this movie is really super funny, and both
It's
in
so
the
funny.
ways it's written and in its timing. It's also the second episode in a row where we see pre 9/11 New York, which was interesting.
I also thought about that, and I was like, "Wow, what is with that? Some animated movies, like that show the Twin Towers."
Yeah.
Really weird that we're doing this again.
Mm-hmm. And this time we are like earlier in history. We have a specific date at some point when the mother dies. We know that it's 1979. I would assume, again, relating to some parts of the real story, either of Adam Elliot directly or, again, someone from his family, from his closer proximity.
Mm-hmm. Quick side note, I just came across this Japanese poster for the film that I don't know if I've seen a poster lose the concept of a movie more in such a simple way than this one did.
Yeah, that's wild.
Marion Max, as made by Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Oh my god.
They went out of their way to remove the color differences between Mary and Max.
Yeah. Homogenize the color between them.
That's commitment to missing the point.
Yeah. Throw that in a visual. Holy shit, that's great. I like the little notes in this movie, the things that like you don't realize till you watch it again. While he's existing, just generally existing, he's actually constantly looking up. Like he'll just glance up for a minute and then continue to what he's doing or whatever.
Mm.
And that's because that's where he's keeping the letters.
Yeah.
Is on the ceiling. So he's always looking at the letters. And I thought that was kind of an interesting thing once you know they're up there. Like,
true.
How much he interacts with them.
I wrote down a few little moments where I recognized these are repeating plot points in both of these films. So I guess it's more of a confirmation again that that's something that happened to Adam Elliot or like around him.
Yeah.
We have kleptomania in both of these films.
Who's the thief? Oh, she steals too, doesn't she?
Here it's the mother early on.
Oh, you're right. Okay, yeah.
We have snail pets in both of these films. Obviously, in Memoir of a Snail, it's a big thing. And here it's just an offhand comment, like a little scene early on. I think she talks about her father and how he used to have 3 snails. We have the collection of little statues in a shelf on a wall that's like generally featured super prominently, but is also a super important piece of memorabilia to the protagonist in both of these films. Here it's the niblets, and in Memoir of a Snail, it's the little snail statues.
Mm-hmm.
Alcoholism, obviously, features heavily in both of these films.
Yeah.
There's a bit of queer representation in both of these. Here it's the bi husband. Later on, we have the brother.
Mm-hmm.
And attempted suicide is also in both of these. So, yeah. Heavy.
The little collectibles, the Noblets / the snail-made figures on the wall, right? I think is a really interesting one. I really actually like it when creators have these kind of like fingerprints. Create your own figurines as a child in the first movie and in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I like when directors will have something like that and they'll use it once in a movie, and then the next movie they use that same exact idea but a little bit different and a little more refined and a little more like articulated, and they keep reusing that same like motif, I think is a better word for it than theme.
Yeah.
But I kind of like that. Some people can see that as like somebody getting tired or something, you know. But I actually really think it's an interesting like fingerprint that a director or a creator has.
You have that a little bit with Hayao Miyazaki. He always has, or repeatedly has, those little kind of magical figures that come in huge groups. Like you have the forest ghosts or forest fairies or whatever they are called in Princess Mononoke. You have the little coal carrying
soot sprites. Those are, by the way, those are called Makoro Kurosake.
Mm-hmm.
Those are like an actual thing in Japanese folklore or whatever.
Okay.
The soot sprites, the charcoal dust, basically, right? The ash, the living ashes. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, there's repeatedly like those little characters that don't talk. Like they are always just like making cute little sounds in some way, and they are always around. They are always like lingering and watching and super cute. It repeatedly uses that kind of thing, and that reminds me a little bit of The Shelf.
My first one I went with video games was that the guy who makes Metal Gear Solid, like the theme song for Metal Gear Solid has been in almost every single video game he's made. He just always puts it in there somewhere, just a little bit different, you know. He's reused full ass names, you know, like just absolutely fully reused names in multiple of his games. But those are like the weird little fingerprints that make him him. He's obviously really into Die Hard, so he brings up Die Hard in every game for some reason. When you're an artist, you're bound by the things you imagine. And as an artist, I don't know how many times I've drawn the same iteration of a concept. You know what I mean? And just redrawn it because I like that concept and I want to get better at that concept, right? And it's no different when you're making a film. It's that same idea. You're reusing those concepts because you like them. And when you have big directors these days who just, you know, somebody like even like Denis Villeneuve,
Denis Villeneuve.
You know,
Villeneuve.
Yeah. You also struggle with it, my friend. You know who I'm talking about. The big D of the Dune.
I used to know how to pronounce him. I forgot.
Yeah, I used to know too. Until the Oscars happened and they said it wrong too many times. And now I don't know. But you take somebody like them, right? And there isn't really a through thread between their movies. There might be like a style, kind of like a vibe or an atmosphere they kind of hold. Even Eggers, you take somebody like Eggers, has that vibe and atmosphere throughout his movies, but there's no like common theme through thread that happens in every single one that gives it that like that fingerprint. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I like that more in a director. It makes it feel less commercialized, less art as commerce.
I checked in the meantime because it couldn't. Denis Villeneuve is the correct one.
I am not. I do not think I can believe his name is Denis Villeneuve.
Villeneuve. Denis Villeneuve. I don't know what to tell you. I'm just trying
so
over
funny.
here, okay?
It's so funny. Can you think of any other things like that, like good fingerprints from another director, though?
I mean, for sure.
There's gotta be.
There's so many. Like all of Wes Anderson is that, you know, in visual style, in the colors he uses, in even
he uses
like
twins a lot, doesn't he? Doesn't he have twins in multiple sets of his films?
Brothers,
or is it just the Tenenbaums?
Brothers a lot. I can't think of twins in that. No, but yeah, like even like props. Like he had a yellow tent in like 3 movies now, I think.
There you go. Yeah.
So that's that for sure.
But yeah, I hope to see more from this guy in that exact same vein. I want to see more of his like his fingerprints and stuff, and the things that make up what he's doing, what he likes, that are clearly like ways that he's processed these things that have happened to him in various ways. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And I want to say too, of you were talking about earlier, the evolution itself in the animation and the art of the movie from this to Snail. I think one of the starkest things is we talked about, I think in Wendell and Wild, the face plates of the characters and how they were interchangeable and that you could see the creases in the face plates,
Yeah.
And they really used that to an artistic advantage in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
In Mary and Max, they're real ugly. You can really see those spots where those face plates are changed or put on, and they don't look the greatest, honestly. Snail really fixes that. They really either hide them or they, I think maybe even some characters don't even use them.
Mm.
It's just so much smoother looking. It's just much better looking.
For sure. It would almost fit into his style that it isn't too clean. But that being said, whilst that technical aspect is clean in Memoir of a Snail, the rest still maintains his style. But the initial style, his art style that he kind of developed during his school years, was not even just a stylistic choice, but kind of a necessity. He was born with genetic tremor. He created basically a style that lacks any straight lines. Everything is a little jagged and not perfectly aligned and where it's supposed to be. And that adds to the personal touch kind of feeling that you were talking about. It makes it very unique. And yeah, it's just an interesting story as to where that initially came from. He now doesn't really animate himself anymore due to that. I'm gonna talk more on that subject actually for Memoir of a Snail because there's a specific thing that relates to.
I like that that lack of the straight line type thing. There's a cartoonist named Joe Murray that I really, really enjoy his stuff growing up and all that. And that was one of the things that really defined his artwork and his cartoons, was that nothing was made up of really straight lines. Buildings were always curved, or they always had a tilt and a strange warp to them.
Mm-hmm.
And it really honestly influenced my own artwork really heavily in my life. So I really like that look of it not being uniform shape. I guess what I meant by the thing is ugly, the face plates or whatever, is that just you can see the overlap where it doesn't look like the faces actually connect, and it doesn't match the same unevenness as the rest of the animation. It's not that it's a stylistic choice of things are lumpier or asymmetrical or like that, where other characters you can see that that's a fold in their face. Some of those characters just look like you literally just slapped something, like they're wearing a mask. And again, that's technical limitations. It's you're working with a specific type of material, you're working with a specific type of animation.
You're also working with a specific budget. Both of these films
budget entirely
are really made for cheap when it comes to animated feature films, which is also why they need to rely on so much voiceover narration. A big part of the reason as to why that is just for lip synchronization, because that takes on so much time with stop motion animation to synchronize the lip movement when characters talk. So he mostly relies on some way to use voiceover and just a narrator in some way.
What do you mean?
There's very few scenes where characters will directly talk to each other. For the most part, we hear the thoughts of Max just explaining while he types, and we don't see his lip moving because he doesn't talk. Or we hear the actual narrator here, or in the other film, we hear Grace talk about something, and we don't really have dialogue scenes. It's just very sparsely used because those scenes are so time intense to animate.
It's the anime effect.
Elaborate.
It's a lot of anime have those scenes where like somebody throws a dagger and the dagger is like flying through the air, but it cuts to some character who's like with a shocked face is narrating in their head like, how will Kitsunuge grab the dagger? He's only got 5 seconds. And he like just dialogues for like a whole minute, right? And it like cuts between different characters. That's the reason they do that, is because it's cheap and it's easy to animate inner dialogue over rather than speaking dialogue. Because then you have to, do mouth.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
It's the anime attempt. That's great. And it's used really well here, honestly. It's used, amazingly. I like that, yeah. They fit the style of the story.
For sure. Like he worked around it as if it was always intended like that, and the dialogues were never an option in his mind anyways. Like, that's how it feels.
Yeah. I do got a side note really quick. This really terrible Mary and Max poster just is still sitting on my screen right now. And the more I look at it, the more I want like a T-shirt of it or something. It's just so weird of a fucking image. Yeah, it's so strange. Like a bumper sticker.
That poster is gonna pop up in the video like 3 separate times as a reminder of how awful it is.
Yeah. How awful it is.
I wrote down my thoughts on one specific scene that I thought was incredible. It's the scene where Max almost strangles a homeless person. That sounds odd that I picked up that one. Thinking about it now.
Yeah, it is.
Just as a scene, I think it's crafted incredibly. It is a payoff to so many things. It's the accumulation of anger that Max has like worked up and just stored away and never worked through because he never replied to Mary. It is an extension of this little side story we have about the cigarette butt obsession that he collects, and that triggers again. It resolves with the word just sorry that the homeless man says to him, which instantly brings back, the flashbacks of Mary apologizing to him, and ties it all together to his initial anger and where it really comes from. It is super tight, like that's just in a few seconds when all of that happens. The sound design is great in that moment. It's very interestingly shot, like those are, I think, the only POV shots, or at least it's used very rarely otherwise. I can't think of any other instance. But it uses POV shots that really like pull you in, great tension, just a all-around awesome scene.
I like that one a lot. My daughter pointed out something about the rain in this movie, and the rain is such an interesting attempt. The way that this guy does water is such an interesting way, because it's clearly like a gel. It's like a really thick gel.
I know what specifically it is.
Is it KY?
It's sex lubricant.
It's KY. That's what KY is.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's what it looks like. I don't know if it's what he uses in the second one, in Snail.
They use a few different techniques. John Lewis talked about it. Like in some cases, it's fling wrap. Is that the word?
Fling wrap is the word. Is what you're looking. Yeah, say all the same thing. Yeah, plastic wrap.
Yeah, for like some things with like a big water surface and stuff like that, they use that. Or I think like one scene where there's like a little river and they just pull cling wrap through that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's those, but they also use for like the tears and actual drops. They use sex lubricant in that as well.
I really hated the use of it in Mary and Max. It was too thick. I did not
Maybe
like
they
it
switched
at all.
brands.
Yeah, they should switch brands. I wanted to bring up really quick, you talk about animation, we talk about writing, we talk about these things. The other things that bring up these characters to life, though, is the voice actors. The voice actors in this movie, I think, honestly, do a fantastic fucking job melting into these characters. Philip Seymour Hoffman is Max. I don't know how close to being his last movie this was or not. I knew Philip Seymour Hoffman was a good actor, right? But I never got behind him like a lot of people did, as like being this really amazing powerhouse actor.
To me, he is exactly that, yeah.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people do. I do think he is really good. And he will always hold the spot in my heart for having one of my favorite scenes in any film.
That is,
believe it or not, okay, I know it sounds stupid. It is a scene in The Big Lebowski where he messes up the line and catches it, continues, and just they keep it because it sounds like a normal person talking. It doesn't sound like re-recorded practice lines. And he exactly says like it's the house that helps establish kids that don't have the necessary means for the necessary means of a higher education. And he says that the necessary means of the necessary means, which is a slip up. He's saying it twice on accident.
That's amazing.
It doesn't make any sense. But they keep it. And you can see his like face not stumble with it. You can see his face like act like as if he's just speaking incorrectly. And I just love that as a scene because it was the first scene in a movie that really felt like actual dialogue to me. But this movie, I've often been a big person that I don't really care for when big time actors get voice acting gigs. I don't really like that. I prefer that voice actors do voice acting, give that industry to those people who are not comfortable being on film. There's a reason why they do voice acting, right? Let's do that.
Lots of that. Lots of talk about that in our stop motion episode we just did recently with Pinocchio and Wendell and Wild, where both of these films do that.
Yeah. To be honest, it's just happening more and more and more and more. Honestly, it's we're getting to the point where you're not having voice actors in big time animated films anymore. It's a TV thing. This, he did really good. Toni Collette, I would never have pegged her for this. I actually just watched Knives Out with my daughter. We would have never imagined that they were in the same movie. Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. Humphreys, I think his name, I don't remember his first name. So my phone died, so I don't have my shit now. But the guy who narrates the film is a really, really, really big Australian celebrity who is famous for being Dame Edna Savage, I believe is the name. Very, 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 very famous drag queen in Australia. Like we're talking like divine level. And that's the narrator of Mary and Max. So I have to imagine that is a very personal pick. I have been thinking about this the entire time, and I don't know. It's purely a place of curiosity because it's being represented here somehow. We have two movies that are semi-autobiographical, where the main person that's doing the biography part of this autobiography is portraying themselves as female in both films, right? And then you have the narrator is your country's most famous drag queen. It's got to be on purpose, is what I'm saying. That's got to be on purpose. And I think it's a really interesting and beautiful, subtle way to honor whatever those feelings are.
Yeah.
And probably show recognition to other people who feel and see what he's saying without saying so much.
That's beautiful. Didn't catch that at all. I almost feel bad bringing up like my biggest complaint about the movie now.
Good, and you should. What is your biggest complaint about the movie? I'd love to hear it.
Another thing that kind of ties it back to our Robot Dreams discussion. That's just little piano tune. They play it so much. I didn't realize up until this rewatch. Like I wasn't annoyed before in other watches, but this time I just at some point recognized that it's over and over again the same kind of, 20-second melody that the piano plays in so many scenes. And once I realized I couldn't stop like paying attention to it, and it got so annoying by the end. Oh man,
that's terrible. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I won't even fault that because I didn't catch it this time, which is surprising. I'm usually the person that catches that shit, right? I did not catch that this time at all. But I bet if I would have, it would have driven me up the wall.
Yeah.
No matter how good the movie is, that would have driven me up the wall if I would have caught on to that. So I'm really sorry that happened.
Yeah. I'm sorry to all the listeners. Forget I ever said anything before you rewatch this movie.
Cue that tune right now.
I have it stuck in my mind. I could hum it out now, but I won't. I won't ruin it for you.
That's so funny. End of this movie, very sad.
But beautiful at the same time. Like the reveal is great.
Very beautiful. Very sad. You know me. I don't like to be sad. Points deducted. Terrible film. Completely unwatchable. But no, just it's the right kind of bittersweet. It's that perfect amount that I think that this movie does much better than Snail does, to be honest. I do like the subtle nods throughout this film, the color, like we talked about, and like other than the mouths, which I think there's something to be said there as well. You know, the only things we ever really see in color are the things that either exist in Mary's world or that she sends to Max. And it's, you know, very representative of this idea of like, she's the color in his world, you know, the thing that he looks most forward to, and to like, you know, she's coloring his universe for him and bringing life to it. I think it's really, really beautiful. But then you have the mouths, you know, everybody opens their mouth and their tongue is visibly red in this movie.
Yeah.
I kind of started paying attention to that. And people only really show their tongue in this movie during moments of joy, happiness, or eating something. There's plenty of moments where people show their tongue in this movie that they don't, yelling, shouting, opening their mouth and gasping, all kinds of shit. And none of those are shown. It's only those moments of like joy still. And
I thought I saw Max at one point like put his tongue out, stretch his tongue out in disgust, or like a shock moment. Like I have a vague memory of a negative.
Maybe you're right. Maybe I didn't catch it, and I didn't start thinking about it till after that happened. Then, because I was on this train of like it seems like there's some kind of connection to the joy of eating, because food is a big point of this movie as well. Food is a very big point of this movie. It seems like every third poster, it's a picture of them eating the chocolate hot dogs, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Would you try a chocolate hot dog?
It would just be eating bread and chocolate together. Like, sure,
yeah,
why not? But
it's just a really shitty American croissant.
Yeah, I can see that.
What are the ones that are filled with chocolate? Eclair. It's like a really bad eclair.
Yeah, but I guess with that we can move on to the newer one, to the second installment of the feature trilogy, Memoir of a Snail.
Warning. The following program contains spoilers. Viewers' discretion is advised.
In Memoir of a Snail, we see Grace as she tells her pet snails, and an extension us, the audience, her life story. We start at the very beginning in the womb and work through a happy childhood with a twin brother, and they get split up into foster families across the country. Without her brother, Grace isolates herself more and more, becomes a hoarder and the victim of a man with a feeding fetish. Throughout this, she keeps in touch with her brother via letters, who himself is stuck at a weird Christian cult family. Her only other friend throughout this time is an elderly, eccentric lady called Pinky, and they take turns caring for each other when they are down. So, Devin, this was a first-time watch for you, wasn't it?
Yes, I had not seen this one yet. I didn't even really know about its existence, honestly, till we, covered it for the podcast.
I'm pretty sure I talked about it in a very early episode, because when I just freshly saw it at a film festival. I think I did.
This is true. Not one that would have stayed on my radar first, You and them film festival movies. No, I'm joking. But no, this is a harder one for me, because while it is a more easily digestible movie, it is more set up like a normal film rather than this two-way correspondence that we're watching. And it has a lot more color involved. It has a lot more voice acting and a lot more actual bits of dialogue, though it is still mostly also, narration over the top. This movie is a lot sadder. It is a little overstimulating on the sadness for me. So many shitty things happen, which adds to the story. It does everything. But by the end of it, this movie never made me shed tears, like Mary and Max does.
Interesting.
Because it's just sad all the time. It's just constantly sad. You're just tired of being sad by the end of it. Which is why it's so good. The ending, the way it ends, is really nice. And it is a really twist ending, which is really cool. You don't really see coming, and it's very beautiful. But at that point, I'm just emotionally drained. I don't have any more feels in me at that point. It's not a detriment to the movie. I think it's purely just, who I am when I watch films and my personal limit on feeling things like a human should.
Like a human should.
Yeah.
You robot.
But, yeah, exactly. It's just a lot. There's a lot happening in this movie. There's a lot happening in this movie. And it sucks. A lot of it sucks. Not bad sucks. It just sucks that it's happening to somebody in this film. And that this person, you know, clearly takes so much from their own existence and, you know, experiences in life. It sucks that any of these things were things that, you know, came from real life experiences.
It's interesting that you say Mary and Max does make you cry. This one doesn't. For me, it's the other way around. Like, I didn't shed a tear for Mary and Max. Still think it's a great movie, but it doesn't hit me on that emotional level. This one gets me, but it's not even the super sad stuff. It's literally all the, I think 3 times that I've watched this movie now already. Like, same amount as Mary and Max that this just released last year. Every time it got me at the very end, at the speech that we get by the end. But we'll get to that, I guess, later. It's so funny to me that you said literally the word out loud. There's many things happening in this film. I have a note that is just things happening in this film. And then I made a list of weird things that happen.
There's so many. Many.
But it's not necessarily all bad things. It's also just super funny offhand comments. If we want to go chronologically, then I have something for the opening credits, actually.
Okay.
Like, first of all, I think the opening credits are incredible. Like, it's this one big continuous shots through an actual 3-dimensional set, and all of the credits are just like stuck to the environment. It's such a great way to make such an over-the-top animated opening credit shot like you sometimes see in animated movies, whilst still embracing the real nature, the like tactility of stop motion. That's so good. Also, I assume that this was mostly due to, you know, budgeting reasons and stuff, but all of the things laying around in the beginning are the props that pop up throughout the movie. You know, I like wrote down a bunch of them, but it's like basically everything. Like, there's the TV set of the father, there's the apples, there's whiskey bottles that the dad, the priest, and the judge use later. There is a flyer of the Laugh Club that comes up somewhere throughout the movie. The duck fed is there. There's the camera that the dad used to use for his stop motion. Burnt ashes of the guinea pigs are laying around. You know, everything. You see all of the little odd moments that come up later already in those intro credits.
They're like arranged almost like on a path, right? As that goes by, and it's like showing them all down this like path, right? And it's like a very squiggly, like wavy path and lots of curves, and you know, you're following it along, right?
Yeah.
I think that is retrospectively her snail trail of her life that she has left behind. This is her past following her, and we're following that trail that she leaves behind like a snail would. And I think it was Pinky that said, "Leave a glittering trail behind you."
That's good. I love that.
So I think that's why they specifically did it on like a specific path, because it really looks like it's like the yellow brick road of random shit that you're following when you take that whole sequence. You know, we talk about the importance of the voice actors in Mary and Max. In this movie, Gilbert's adoptive parents, right, are terrible religious cult leader people, right?
Yeah.
Who try to, you know, shock the gay out of him and stuff. The woman that plays his mother, his you know, adopted mother, is, I just lost the name, my bastards. Magda Szubanski, who is the lady from Babe, the pig movie, who is in reality a lesbian and a big-time LGBT activist.
Okay, there you have it again.
Yeah, she's apparently very, very, very prominent in activism, which is why she hasn't really been in as many movies. I think it's clear that who's being picked to do these voices is more than just who sounds good, who had a good review or whatever. You know, it seems like it's very much like a lot of thought and work is put into who is these people.
I can talk a little bit about something that I appreciate about Adam Elliott's odd writing that also comes up in Mary and Max, but here I had more specific examples where I noticed it.
Mhm.
He is really good with painting a picture in your mind that includes other senses. At several points here, he attaches smells to certain characters. I wrote down, I always remember how he smelled like burnt matches. She describes her brother Gilbert. Or also, she smelled like ginger and hand socks about Pinky. It's such a good, underused little thing, but it's so oddly specific that you instantly get a feeling for who this person is and have just more complete picture in your mind, for the lack of a better word. And it's really, really done well here.
Yes.
Great.
Sorry. No, I'm sorry. It was a really, really, really well put. Yeah, I just don't know how to expand upon it. It was really well put.
There is just moments that feel like peak Adam Elliott here. The clapping for the dad is so good.
So funny.
Oh my god, is that an incredible idea? Like, it first gets established as a somewhat logical in-universe thing that they need to do. And then what it leads to is this awful scene of two children applauding the death of their father. Like, that's so dark, so sad, but so funny. Oh my god.
Did not even think about it like that. Is really funny.
It's so good. Like, I can't look at it any other way. Even the first time watching it, I was like, I can't believe that's happening right now. And it makes sense in universe wise that those children are just sitting there and applauding the death of the father. That's so bad. It's so good. Oh my god. That's peak Adam Elliott writing. Like, I don't know many people who would write a scene and a setup and everything like that. Who could even write that and could pull it off to such an extreme degree. Like, it's really pushing it, but oh my god, is it funny.
The dad himself, too, by the way, Percy, I think, right? Percy Puddle. Very interesting actor choice to portray him as well. That's Dominique Pignon, French actor. The guy who did Amelie. He's used in every single one of his films. Very much like a French clown, basically. I think he did mime work for a while in French movies and stuff. So it's very funny how much he is, in a lot of ways, the essence of their dad already as the actor.
What was his name again?
Dominique Pignon.
Oh, that guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So you immediately know what I'm saying when you see that guy. You're like, oh, that fits that character. that guy's like, if he hadn't lost his legs, that's who he would have grown up to be, as Dominique Pignon.
Yeah, interesting casting choices for sure.
Also, the puddles thing is interesting. My daughter mentioned it first when we were watching the first one, and they talking about her eyes are the color of muddy puddles. My kid was like, is the narrator of this the guy that does Peppa Pig? Because that's like a big thing. Peppa Pig is muddy puddles. And I was like, no, I don't think so, or whatever, but that's funny. And then Muddy Puddles is kind of brought up a couple times, that movie, repetitively, about eye color and stuff. And then these people's last name is Puddle.
He might just like the sound of the word.
Yeah, exactly. It's another one of those fingerprints that it's not necessarily a theme or like a concept. It's just it's an object reuse that he likes to use in different ways.
Because I think sometimes it's more like, I would assume, a poetic approach to it, where muddy puddles, those syllables, make just interesting sounds. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, that's sometimes a thing in hip hop, in rap lyrics, where they almost more write for the sounds of the syllables and how to arrange them. And yeah, this feels like puddles is such a good word. It just feels like something a guy looking out for syllable sounds would choose. Like, I can't even put the finger on it more than that.
There's like rules in language, no matter what language you speak, that are just like the order you say something, like tick, tack, took, right? Zip, zap, zoop. There's like, things that make things function better, sound better to the ear, no matter what language it is,
Yeah.
Consonant, vowel, consonant is always funny. Poop. cock, butt. Like there's reasons why those words are funny because they have funny the way they just vibrate our ear, the right way they tickle our brain.
Exactly.
Yeah, puddle definitely is up there.
Yeah, good sound.
Yeah, it is a good sound. I did find one more interesting fingerprint of this guy's. He did a short 23-minute movie called Harvey Crumpet.
Yeah.
And not only does Harvey Crumpet actually appear in this movie, in Memoir of Sale, he also wore a book around his neck of faces, I believe. Just like Max did in Mary and Max. So another one of those reused ideas.
Interesting. Even Mary herself, it's not a book, but it's like this bag of chips. Yeah, the Shrinkies.
The Shrinky, yeah. Yeah.
Also a similar visual, at least. I guess I'll go into like my list of odd things happening in this film that I needed to write down to remind myself that all of these plot points happen in this one movie, in this one universe.
Yeah, do it.
We have a homeless guy, former judge, who masturbated in court. We have an Apple-based cult. There's swingers losing a finger while dancing in Barcelona to a ceiling fan. Playing against Fidel Castro in table tennis. Her husband got eaten by a crocodile. There's an in-universe laugh club. The cousin of Pinky may have killed a full bus of passengers when falling asleep at the wheel. We're ambivalent about this. There's again kleptomania. There's torture. There's arson. There's even attempted murder. And it also opens the box of like Alzheimer's. So many, many, many topics that just...
I love that. I've got the Guggenheimers.
Yeah, the Guggenheimers. Yeah, that's it.
Do you have in Austria anywhere, or have you ever interacted with the fucking ice jumping people?
You mean like people...
The cold water.
Yeah, they go swimming in cold water. I think it exists.
Yeah.
But I haven't really been in close proximity to anyone who does that. No.
No, I don't know anybody personally who does that because I try not to associate with psychos. But in America, that's called the Polar Plunge. Is that club, and it's pretty well known across the U.S. is that people do the Polar Plunge every year.
Wild.
I could never even imagine. But I at the same time, when they were talking about like, they do that, blah, blah, blah. In the wintertime, Australians go into the water, Polar Plunge. I was like, it's Australia in the winter. That's cheating. That's basically just summer in the water here.
Yeah. I think that was actually like from Mary and Max, so wasn't it?
Now I'm fucked up. Okay, hold on. How did the fucking... No, you're right. He isn't a polar plunger, though. You are correct. Okay, no, you are correct. The Harvey Crumpet character appears at the nudist colony in this movie. Because in Harvey Crumpet, he's a nudist. That's like a problem he's got. He likes to be naked.
That's funny. Okay, yeah. So Harvey Crumpet probably just cameos in all the features then, if he's been in both so far.
Maybe.
I love the idea early on where Grace covers the homeless man with Christmas decorations.
Oh my God, I was so stressed out.
You were so stressed out.
I was so stressed out. I just had this image that she was going to do that, and that like he was going to like wet himself or something and just like cause an electrical fire on his body, and she was going to like burn a homeless man to death on accident.
I could see Adam Elliott do that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was like, she's going to burn this dude to death. Oh my God, no. Oh my God, no.
And instead it's so wholesome.
It's so wholesome. Yeah.
And it's so good because it's like this really magical visual. It's creative. It shows her compassion to people and also her oddness all at once.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly there where like the movie has really hooked us, that she gets gifted her first snail, and we are instantly attached to the idea of the snail, and she is instantly attached to the idea of the snail because it's so strongly associated with this one great memory, you know?
The question is, does that save it from being Deus Ex Machina?
How do you mean?
Deus Ex Machina, right?
Yeah, like a completely unforeseen circumstance that was just random that saved the day, basically.
Yeah, that's what that is. Her random circumstance of saving that guy is what saves her from jail in the end.
Oh, that's how you mean. Mm-hmm. I doubt that she would have gone to jail otherwise for the $3 snail that she stole.
No, of course not. Of course not. But it's a moment for her of everything is so down, and it doesn't matter that it would have ruined her. It's that she needed that positive moment. At that moment in her life, she was so down that I think if she would have gotten a fine or gotten to spend a night in jail, it would have just destroyed her. Right. And that's why that moment is so beautiful, because it's, it's making her happy. It's making her realize that there's people that care. But that is the Deus Ex Machina at that point. Even if the stakes are really low, they are existent, and it's based on this thing that happened really early in the story. It just happened.
I do understand what you mean, yeah.
The attachment of him giving the snail, I feel like, almost dismisses its Deus Ex Machina. It almost puts a further worth on that action that rises it above just being a literary tool to, complete the circuit.
Yeah. And I also just look at it in a way as to the way her character is portrayed really feels like someone that, at least in her early days, would be compassionate to all the people. Like, if she is that compassionate to a homeless person, then she probably made quite a few friends early on, or like had good impressions to people early on. And the idea is more so that if you are compassionate, at some point that will pay off. And in reality, those are random moments where such a coincidence will pay off. Like, that it is the very specific coincidence that we get to see is more like, yeah, sure, plot convenience. I get it. But I don't really see it as like a glaring Deus Ex Machina that's like a problem to me or anything.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead and more payoffs, though.
Sure. Yeah, there's quite a few that I absolutely never saw coming. I love that Pinky's little hand-holding thing returns later on in the film and just became a full-on charity organization.
It's super great.
The husband being sterile due to his microwave repair service. That is just like an offhand comment when he gets introduced initially. And that's like an actual plot reason later on why they can't have a kid. That's super funny. Like, it is, that's pretty much exactly all those little things are the exact thing I meant with this is so well written from a structure stance. Like, so many things get brought up early on, they come up later, get elaborated on, and then have a final payoff. And most of them you don't even see coming because it's like hidden really well. For example, the final like potato payoff.
Great payoff.
With the cookie box. Yeah, it's so good because thinking about it now, the way the cookie box initially gets brought up should really ring alarm bells and scream like, okay, I am the gun on the wall, pay attention to me. When she like talks about, oh yeah, Pinky doesn't believe in banks and stores all her money in a cookie jar. Like, that screams, I am a treasure to be found later on by the protagonist.
Yeah.
But it is brought up in a sequence where so many super crazy odd stories get told about Pinky. It pales in comparison to the other things told about her. So you don't really think about it too much because you're just like baffled by everything that's happening. But it's still there. And once it comes back, it's this great, like, oh my God, why didn't I think of that? Obviously, it had to, It's really well written. Oh yeah, and then I have one more just like funny little one. I love that by the end, Gilbert reads Ginger Chested Parrots.
So funny!
Which is the book that Grace read when she was lonely. That was so good.
Yeah, I like that. I like that he can share that with her. Or she can share that with him. Really made me happy.
Yeah.
I really liked the weird cult that Gilbert lives with. It's so strange.
Mm-hmm.
I like that they worship an apple.
Yeah.
I live in the United States #1 apple supplier.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And my growing up, every job you could imagine getting as a young person was working at an orchard or working at a fruit packing factory or making apple juice for Treetop or whatever. Like it was just in some way or another, apples were involved. And I had some really just oppressive things happen in my life as a young person. So it's just like, I don't obviously see myself in Gilbert's situation really or anything like that. But man, do I get apple obsessed people, bruh. I feel you. I feel you. So I just liked that. I liked that little inclusion.
To me, it would be grapes, so wine. My grandparents, like from both sides, had a vineyard.
See, we still do produce the majority of apples for the United States, right? But as of 2011, we now produce 77% of hops for the United States and like 40% of grapes for the United States. So we're moving into booze has been like the big move in the past 10 years. And so we're getting there. It's about to be grapes basically for us. Grapes and hops. I don't know if you ever smelled hops in real life before, but oh my God.
Yeah.
Every year, one of the factories burns down and the entire town smells like burning hops. It's just, it's rough. It's rough, buddy.
There's a lot of hops here, and I've never heard of a industry like that burning down. So I think that's an America problem.
I live in a desert.
Okay, yeah. Fair enough. Good argument.
I live in a desert. Fires happen here fast.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
It's an America problem. Calm down.
I was like, don't you guys have like firefighters?
That's so funny.
All right. Then I have like the final thing of the through line with the snails.
Yeah.
And how it's like hidden throughout. Like a lot of them are super obvious, but I still included them here because I like how they are included in obvious ways. It starts off super early on when she talks about being in the womb. I always liked it snug and cozy. And that's where she really feels safe.
Uh-huh.
You know, that's to me already the shell basically that she can retract to. Like throughout the film, it's all about this isolating yourself, closing yourself in and the others out, protective shell, you know.
Mm-hmm.
There is the mention early on that snails die after giving birth. And both her parents died super young, you know, when she was super young.
Yeah.
The first super obvious one, where she curls up into that embryo position. To me, a connection to the womb earlier and more of a confirmation almost that that's intended as like a shell again. Because when she curls up into that embryo position during getting beat up by the kids at school, she visually gets transformed into the shell.
I think, by the way, the English fetal position.
Fetal position. Okay. Interesting.
It's still you're not wrong at all. You're not wrong at all. But yeah.
Might be a German term then, because that's how we would describe it, yeah.
Yeah. Well, because embryos are like more like shrimp shaped than they are like. No, it's okay. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But yeah, that's funny.
I know what you mean, yeah.
Embryo position is funny. I like that.
It comes up in a line that she drops about her father. I guess his body was his prison, is something that she says.
I love that line.
And that's very directly, you know, carrying the shell around.
Mm-hmm.
And also foreshadowing for how Grace boxes herself in. We have another obvious one that is when she says puberty arrives and brings its gifts. And she like gains a few pounds, like she gets wider, visually speaking. And when she gets acne in her face and both her body that is rounder now transforms into the shell and her face transforms into the slimy snail skin.
Mm-hmm.
So again, seeing herself as like, I guess, the negative parts of the snail. Around 40 minutes in, Pinky says the tagline for the first time, which we later find out relates to the snail's path never crossing, but also in general.
Is that the tagline of the film?
It's, you can only live life forward, but you can only understand it backwards, I think is the exact line. Let me check.
I don't think she ever says that. She says a snail never crosses its own path. It only goes forwards, never backwards.
Yeah, that is the final version of it. But early on, life can only be understood backwards, but we have to live it forwards. Is the tagline, and she says that. Yeah.
And I like, furthermore, expanding on that, breaking out of her shell after she's gotten rid of her stuff,
Mm-hmm.
because the snail's guided beyond going forwards, right? Grace says to Sylvia, sometimes moving sideways.
Mm.
I think that's kind of interesting that she only says that after she's been freed of her stuff, of her shell. She gets rid of her shell at that point, you know?
Yeah, she's not as limited of the possibilities of a snail. Yeah, true.
Yes, she no longer just goes forwards and backwards, but sometimes sideways. And I think, honestly, it's such a small moment, but it's such a great lesson of life, is that most people think of life as going either forwards or backwards. But so much of life is literally just sidestepping, and like, you're still making motions, but you're not really going anywhere, but you're not really, not going anywhere at the same time,
You're more so avoiding problems than going
Not even
forwards.
avoiding problems, but sometimes maybe it's that you are shifting gears in your life into something different.
Yeah.
Which is a big theme of this movie too, is the ever-changing things that are happening to her and the shift she changes. She even, she loses all her weight after the feeder fetish, she does a lot of things to change her life, actually.
For sure. I mean, those are mostly the moments where it comes up, but oh my god, during that final speech, that made me cry every time I watched it. It's really less the sad parts of the story. I mean, it obviously builds on that, but it's really more a happy tears kind of cry, which is interesting for a movie that is so sad. Like that's the thing that gets me. It's the bittersweet moment. It's not the sad moment.
Which I think is, it's the reprieve that you need after all that sad.
Yeah.
It's the oasis of well, that doesn't suck as bad. I am interested to see, what Adam Elliott does next.
2 more to go. Like 1 20-minute-ish short and then 1 more feature.
We'll see if I see the 20-minute short. I'm not a big shorts guy. I did really like this movie. I don't think I liked it as much as Mary and Max. Only because it's so much more sad, and I don't like to feel because I don't like being human. But in a recent conversation with a mutual friend about talking about movies we think should have won Oscars or think should win certain types of awards, I recently said that I thought Flow or Wild Robot would be great, 2025 animated movies. And they were like, well, let's see how you feel after you watch, Memoir of a Snail. You feel a lot different. I do not feel different. I still think Flow is the much better animated movie of this year. Not in a bad way. They're just such different movies,
Yeah.
This movie, it might take a few times of watching it for it to really hit like that, But I just don't see myself really rewatching this on purpose for a while. I do eventually want to show it to my daughter. You stopped me.
Yeah.
You stopped me. I almost watched this with my kid. In retrospect, I think it would have been like 1 scene, maybe 2 scenes. I'd have to be like, hey, close your eyes, But not really too bad, honestly. Not as bad as I thought.
Yeah, it's more so that it brings up super out there topics. It's not too explicit in showing them. It might result in quite a few questions that you have to answer later.
I mean, I'm not super, that's not super problematic.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I did really enjoy this. I did think this was a really fantastic movie, which is, it's a lot for me for such a movie that's so emotionally fueled.
Yeah, it doesn't scream Devin movie. To me, this and Flow are the best animated movies. Like, as we talked about in the episode, I'm not as big of a fan of The Wild Robot as you were. But yeah, I totally agree. Flow is also, like, in my opinion, the best animated movie of the year. It's the worthy winner, for sure.
But this and Flow, ooh, pizza hands, pizza Italian kiss French chef hands, whatever. Pizza hands. He knew what I meant. Yeah, it's a fantastic movie.
My final note would be one of my now favorite movie trivias happens in this movie, and I got it from literally a first-hand source. I am not aware if this like trivia fact is even online yet. This topic just randomly came up in the interview that I did with John Lewis. I asked him about if Adam Elliott can still animate himself or if he like had a little scene or anything in here. And he did. He animated one scene in this movie, and that is the short film that Grace in Universe stop motion animated. The janky, bad stop motion animation that Grace Puddle made in the universe is the one scene that Adam Elliott himself animated. And that's just perfect.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
That's so funny. It's really good.
I loved it. That and more you can hear in the interview. For the next appointment, however, we will discuss two movies that have been somewhat lost for decades and only got a wide US release in recent years.
Your first prescription is The Amusement Park, a lost film by George A. Romero that was originally filmed in 1973 for the Lutheran Service Society of Western Pennsylvania as an educational film about elderly people, who nearly immediately shelved the movie before it could find a distributor. After 48 years, the movie was found again and re-released with a shiny new 4K restoration by the preservation organization Indie Collect. The film itself follows an elderly man played by Lincoln Maisel as he attempts to spend the day at an amusement park, but is met with various existential obstacles.
Your second prescription is The Birthday by Eugenio Maria. Produced in Spain, but being filmed in English, the movie never got an international release after its 2004 release in Spain, and only recently got rediscovered by Jordan Peele, who immediately got to work. The mysterious horror comedy plays out at a birthday party and stars Erica Pryor and Corey Feldman.
If you don't want to get spoiled for either of these movies, make sure to watch them before the next appointment.
I'm George.
I'm Devin, and this was Meta Cinema, your healthy dose of film.